Something
Mm,
else that I have personally really enjoyed as something that's been useful to me in terms of not getting stuck in this news cycle, this kind of fear-based news cycle that it seems like a lot of news reporting is based on. I think it might be a bit different in the UK, especially with outlets like the BBC and all of those ethical codes that the civil servants working at the BBC have gone through that you talked about earlier in the episode. It does seem like you're getting a lot more information uh, relative to kind of junk or just stuff that's designed to
mm,
inflame your emotions. But uh, in the U.S., where I live today, a lot of the news stations are actually like this podcast; they're ad supported, and so
mhm,
the objective is to keep people engaged as much as possible. We try on this podcast to do it with great informative conversations, but
mm,
a lot of news shows have learned that the way to keep people engaged is through fear and emotions, and that seems to be good for their bottom line. So I'm working my way to a solution here. Is that one thing for me is that I subscribe to a physical subscription of The Economist, and there's still ads in this physical Economist magazine that I get, but I think because I don't know, you're a paying customer as opposed to just relying on ads. You're
mm.
getting, I think you're getting deeper coverage, more thought on things, and well, actually, we are talking about how to make the internet better, and I'm saying by not by getting a physical copy. Um, yeah, so I don't know, but anyway, maybe me giving those couple of examples gives some ideas that you might have for our listeners on what they can do to make their experience on the internet better.
Oh man, I'm super nervous about recommending anybody doing anything because I don't particularly feel I have an example of a life to follow. What I would just say for myself, for what it's worth, I'm putting it out is I try to really be intentional when I'm on. It's because I'm researching usually, and my research tastes and interests are super eclectic. So I'll be looking at all sorts of stuff, and I often used to use social media as like a bulletin board. So I would just be, very rarely would you get my views on anything. I was more just sort of posting for myself articles that I would then go back and look at or wanting to mark them. And that started from my time as a political risk analyst when I had to cover the entire European Union and the ECB and the European Commission and then EU relations to the wider world. I needed a place to file all of that. And at that time, Twitter was super useful back in 2010. And I carried that on when I started doing technology work full time. Now, now I want my brain back. And that's been a very active and intentional process. So all of the apps are not on my phone anymore. I have to, if I want to go online to surf around, I have to do that on my phone. If I'm, using Google, I will have to I go to the website of a newspaper and I will read the newspaper. I don't want the social media curated experience anymore of that at all. And I'm trying to stay away from anything that makes me, which is difficult because I'm still a US citizen and I'm living in the UK where we're having some very interesting political conversations at the moment. But seeing things that are inflammatory, that make you angry and upset, sometimes that's an appropriate response to stuff. But as you said, the outrage every day is just making certain oligarchs really rich and making the rest of us really stressed and anxious and not working with our communities to solve problems. So I'm trying to just be away from that. And I spend a lot of time reading books and in libraries or in archives or out with people. I spend more time now with people, I would say, than I ever used to before. And that is a very deliberate correction. I travel a lot for my job. So when I say I'm like just hanging out with people, I'm just like, hey, with my friends and I'm checking in because that would be a bubble. So I spend a lot of time, particularly going around France and Germany. That's been my focus for the past couple of years. Here in the UK, I go back to the US a lot. I've been flying to the Middle East a lot to have conversations there. Have good research opportunity. Will travel. I want to be on the ground because I would often see, my mom would call up and be like, oh my God, where you are. It's so violent. I'm watching it on CNN. I would be like, I'm literally here. Like, I don't know where you are watching this. CNN has found the one place where somebody has set a garbage can on fire, but I am here and like everybody's chilling out. And so I felt a bit like President Trump, I think, is feeling at the moment, where he's like, is Portland in a civil war outrage scenario, or am I watching something from 2020, right? Like, am I seeing reality? And it must be actually very hard for a president, to give him the benefit of the doubt. He can't just go and like fly to Portland and check it out, right? Like, he's relying on his people. I don't have that as a researcher. I can go anywhere. And so I'm trying to do that much more. And it's time consuming, it's expensive, it means my research is slower, etc. But it means I'm really grounded now in what I'm seeing and hearing. And I have other people on the ground as part of my network who are, they're telling me, they're like, no, that's not what's happening here. Or, yeah, you need to get over here and check this out.